we are live. I would say good afternoon in EST, but no matter where you are in the world, welcome to Primer Chats. This is Audrey Lloyd.
And Sandy Webster.
And this, Sandy, is our third conversation. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics with a new twist. We're going to reframe the interview as a conversation, because we know that there's an art to conversation, right? Yeah. But before I get too far, please, Sandy, will you tell them a little bit more about you?
Just a little bit about me, Audrey, is that I have a business called Sandy Webster LLC, and Sandy Webster Coachsulting is my brand, and that's because I do both coaching and consulting. I have a course that I help women to form advisory boards. These are frazzled women who need advice and need a sounding board, and an advisory board gives it to them, either through my course or I can do a done with you model where I sit and actually walk you through it for a length of time. And then I just coach business owners and corporate executives as needed.
Well, Sandy, you're terrific. And for me, I am Audrey Lloyd, like I said before, Audrey D. Lloyd, and I am an executive coach. But in addition to that, I've spent 30 years in change management and business transformation. So I think I'm entitled to say that I am expert in that. I started in change management in 1993. So I like to say that I help individuals and companies to transform. And I kind of am the primer, so to speak, for you, Sandy. I warm them up, right? Yes. And I hand them off to you to start that executive board. But anyway, before we get too far, I wanted to remind people that Primer Chat is the primer for their success. We have conversations around little things that you might have forgotten that, you know, if you can just get them to go maybe 1 inch more, that you can get greater success. So without further ado, let's start, Sandy, talking about reframing the interview as a conversation.
Absolutely. Well, we started talking about the C's. And we have numerous C's. We started out with the 5 C's, and then it went to the 8 C's, and now it's up to about 10 or 11 C's that we have. And these C's are little tips that you can use when you're participating in the interview process. Because as you said, it's a two-way conversation, right? It's a give and take. And most interviews are very static. It's ask you a question, you answer. And so with these C's that we've come up with really help to guide you and draw something out from the other person. So why don't we start off with capability, Audrey, our first C. What do you think of capability?
Well, yes, but I want to add one more thing, Sandy, because I kind of feel like these are pearls of wisdom. Oh my goodness, we have our notebook, right? Of all the things that we've distilled over the decades that we're going to pass on today. So yes, let's start with the first C, that's capability. And I always say there is nothing to study in terms of when you're going into a conversation with a potential employer or a potential client, but you do need to prepare. And the preparation comes in with you understanding what is your capability? What are you bringing to the table? And you might have to think back. Remember when I said I've been doing this for almost 30 years? Don't discount all of those things, but bring those things current. And you're beginning with that because that's going to be your selling point. That's the product or service or expertise that you have to offer that potential partner. So
yes. I used to interview and head up the HR in my company, and capability was so important to me. What was really significant for me, Audrey, is does what you say to me match the resume that I'm looking at? Are you consistent with your capabilities, right? If I see that you said you did, I'll make it up, marketing in 2002, and I look at your Facebook page, you don't know how to do social media, you don't know how to do, it's not, your capability is not strong, right? You might have just a very low level of something and you're marketing it to me as capability.
Yeah. And why would we do that? Because the next C is confidence, right? I feel like confidence is not something that you can kind of pump up under your wings and then pretend you're confident. Confident comes from within. And when you're confident, it's usually because you've done it before and you can do it again. So
Yeah.
to your point, if I say that I can do X, Y, and Z, and I have only a small insight into it, can I be confident? I'm going to be worried about, well, what are they going to ask me? Or when I get on the job, will I be able to perform? But if you go with what you have, you're going to be confident. Yes, I can absolutely help you with your change plan,
And
with
some
your
people
stakeholder
can be,
management,
some
right?
people can be so confident that they'll convince you, even though they might not have the full capability, but the confidence lets you know this person has potential. They probably could do it because they have that level of confidence with them, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you can have a quiet confidence as well. Confidence doesn't have to be loud and screaming that you know this. Sometimes people are just very quiet, and that look in your eyes tell me, oh, this person knows exactly what I'm talking about and can, you know, probably more than I do, right?
Yeah, no, I love the word quiet because that's the best of all is when you know it for yourself.
Yes.
And when you can actually exceed expectation, right? So people think that, oh, she's good. She's probably at a 7, but you come in and you're actually at a 9 or 10. That's a wow factor.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
And that goes into our next C, which was concern. Concern for others, concern for the organization. You have to show that you want to care about where you're going, right? Ask questions that shows that. So Audrey, what are you doing for the company? What is your strategic plan for this company? Where are you going in this, you know, in this industry? Where are you positioning yourself in this? Like, show me that you care about the company that I'm building and you want to know more about it. So, and not just the company, but for the people you're going to work with. I think I mentioned that sometimes people never ask, you're putting them on a team of 10 and they never ask about the people that they're working with. But show concern. Will I fit in? Will I be a good fit for the team? Can I speak to people on the team or meet with people on the team? That concern should shine through.
No, I love that. And I think that when you show concern, you are demonstrating an investment, right? In that company or in that person that you're talking to because you want to know. And that concern dovetails nicely into curiosity. And so during the conversation, I think you made the point earlier as we were chatting, Zandy, throughout the conversation, you want to be curious because curiosity is born out of, I would love to know more about this. And I
Yes.
think it breeds excitement and the fact the person on the other side is going to be curious about you. And isn't that how we meet people and how we develop relationships is through asking, right?
And
So that's a part of it.
I gave you the example of where you interview with someone and you're like, I want to work for Audrey. I want to work for Audrey. And you get the job. And 2 weeks after you're there, Audrey says, well, Sandy, I just want to tell you the good news that I got promoted or I'm leaving the company. And you're bummed because during the interview process, you didn't really probe about what Audrey's looking forward to in this company. What is your position and your mindset for this company? We weren't asking that. And now you're totally bummed. Oh my God, why did I take this job? I wanted to work for Audrey, not for the company, right? So yeah, curiosity goes a long way.
That's a really great point. So the next one I have on the list, I'll throw it back to you, Sandy, is communication.
At all levels. Good communication. You have to show me that you can speak to the CEO and you can speak to the cleaning person. Because you have to change the level of communication to match what the person that you're communicating with, right? So you speak one way to the CEO, you have to speak their language, especially in corporate.
No, I absolutely love that. And as a communication professional as well, right? That's part of change management. But the thing that most people overlook, and underestimate is that communication also has to do not always with listen.
Yes.
What are they asking you? What are they telling you in their unspoken or in between the lines? So the communication is not always what you're going to say. It's also, what are you listening for? What is the question? What are they really saying?
And that's it, the question, right? You should ask clarifying questions. If you're communicating with me and you don't understand something, you should be asking me, can you clarify that for me? Are you saying, is this what you're asking me? You should get clarification around that. And when people do that to me, I'm like, oh, they're really listening, because they listened and didn't understand, and they're making sure that they understand. And in an interview, to me, that's one of the goals that I look for, that you're really understanding what I'm saying and not afraid to ask if you
Now,
don't.
right. And that goes hand in hand with candor. So that's something that candor, or to be candid, the heart of it is really to be truthful and to be upfront. I'm not saying be abrupt, but represent your words in your communication, yourself, your skills in a way that is candid, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure
And
you've seen the opposite, Sandy.
oh, I can tell you, there are people who, there's always the thing about your resume, right? You go to school, or you say you went to school, and you probably did go to school, but you might have gone for 2 years and you didn't graduate. But if I ask you, where did you go to school? You'll say, I went to Princeton. But you forgot to tell me that you didn't graduate from Princeton, right? So don't let me find that out when I ask for your transcript. That's not the time. You're not getting the job because you weren't candid with me. If you said, Sandy, I went to Princeton for 2 years, I didn't graduate, follow it up with a but how did I learn my other skills? It wasn't through school, but I spent 5 years in the belly of the beast learning how to do this. That's how your candor comes through.
Oh, that's great, Sandy. And that again follows up with character, right?
Yes, character.
Yeah.
And your character shines through in all of these things that you're saying. Your character shines through. Are you of good character? And you're always looking for people who have that character. And if you're going to lie to me and I feel you're lying to me, that's a blemish on your character.
Right. And and I'll also say that character for each individual is assembled by their values also, right? So you know what your personal values are, and when you have a conversation with a potential partner, you should also be listening for that potential partner's character, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that when you're doing your business, Sandy, you want to do business with people that are in keeping with, even though we're diverse, but in keeping with what you value. Is that right or wrong?
Yes, that's absolutely true.
Yes. And so that's tantamount. I think it's very important to look for that in companies and to demonstrate that in everything that you do, say, and also the feeling that you create during the conversation, that you want people to feel you're dealing with a person who is honest, showing my hands, that is telling you what I can do, and is looking also for an honest assessment in terms of the type of skill level, capabilities.
Yes.
And person that they're looking for as well. Yes.
And what is the next one, Audrey?
So our last one, and I think we have a couple more minutes left, is around consistency. So I'm going to pass it to you, Sandy, but what I will add first to this is that, have you ever been somewhere and you had such a great time and someone talked a lot? So during the course of an interview, 30, 1 hour, 90 minutes, sometimes it's all day. and you walk away and you're like, well, what did we talk about again? You can't remember.
Yeah.
So it is so important that when people are having these conversations, planning for them, in the midst of them, to remember the 3 things that you want people to remember. And you should double down on those 3 things when you tell your stories, when you ask questions, when you do your leave behind. So in summary, I'm X, Y, and Z, or tell me about yourself. Oh, you should pepper in the 3 things so that it automatically they recall the fact that, oh yeah, I remember Sandy. What were the 3 things she was great at again? Oh yes, she does analytics and strategy, and she's really terrific at CRM, right?
And we forgot one C that you just mentioned, charisma. When someone does that, when someone is consistent in doing that, it shows their charisma. And you're always like, oh, I like the way that Audrey did that. Oh, I like the way that, so-and-so Jane did that. Because they have a charisma that even, and again, this is another thing that can be quiet, right? They could be so concerned about you, Audrey. Audrey, tell me more about yourself. That you just feel like, oh my God, this person is all about me, so interested in, but that's part of their charisma. I find when someone remembers my name, that's part of their charm, of their charisma. Even if I don't remember their face, people walk up to me and go, hi, Sandy, right? And I'm like, oh God, how do you do that? Right away, it showed that you took an interest in whatever I was saying, wherever I was, to remember my name. And I'm horrible with people's names. It's not that I'm not interested, but I'm a face person.
Yeah.
Some of us are face people, some are name people. I'm a face person. Like I'll say, Audrey, I met you somewhere. And that's part of my charisma. I'm not afraid to say that.
Right.
Did we meet somewhere? I'm pretty sure we didn't. Oh, it must be, from another mother or wherever.
But I'm sorry, go ahead, Sandy.
No, but that's part of the charm of when you meet someone, do you click, right? That charisma that you have, that clicking that you have. There are times somebody walks into a room, you're like, I'm just not feeling that person. Not a word has been said.
Yeah.
But their charm didn't come through and they just didn't grab you.
I love everything that you were said. I was getting overly excited way too fast because as you're talking, I'm painting the picture in my head of what you're saying. And I think you hit it on the head. And it makes me think of that famous poet that says, you might not remember what they said, but you remember how they made you feel.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that it's the feeling that you create through the charisma. People might call it presence, but I think it goes both ways. You're present to pick up on what the person is putting out, but also your presence and your charisma is memorable because they will remember the 3 things, but then they'll say, oh yes, and I remember the energy that Sandy had. I remember how kind she was. I remember how I could envision myself working with her. That is charisma.
And do you want me to throw in still another C to leave us today?
Why not? Why not?
Don't change.
Oh, yes.
Don't change. If I interviewed you and I perceived you as one way, and then you come to the job and you totally change on me, oh my God, don't change. But you should like change.
Yes.
You shouldn't change some of those C's that we talked about, but you should be adaptable to change and not always want to stay stagnant in the same place, right? I want to learn new things. Some people say, I like it the way it is. This is how I've done it. We've done it 10 years like this. We're not going to change it. No, that's not the right attitude. We want an attitude of change with all your charisma and all the C's that we talked about.
Oh, that's great. Sandy, you have a great memory. I mean, we have the notes. I have the notes here, but I'm going to run through quickly the C's just to say it so they can hear it. They can take their note on it, and then we can kind of close with how they could actually reach out to us. So we started with capability. We said confidence, concern, and curiosity. We talked about command, communication, candor, character, charisma, consistency, and change.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you're good at bringing it up, but I think I got them all.
All right.
That's
So
great.
we want you to take this away and apply it, your own application of what you do in your day-to-day when you're speaking to anyone, or if you're interviewing for a job. You're always interviewing. Let me tell you that. Always be interviewing, because just a conversation with someone is really an interview. They're forming an opinion of you, right? Should I get this person, hire this person? Would I want this person on my board? You're being interviewed when you talk to someone.
Yes, Sandy, and I will add that sometimes when people have conversations, they don't get the opportunity right away. But to your point, when you are memorable and people know your capabilities, it's no for right now, but perhaps it's yes for next year. And that's happened to me many times over.
Yes.
People remembered me, and because of LinkedIn or other places, they said, I remember you from 5 years ago. Wow, can you imagine? So no today doesn't mean no forever. And it's good luck to anyone who has a conversation with a potential employer or client coming up. And I will just say that if you want to reach out to me, you can reach me at BOLD, that's BOLD, at Audrey, AUDREYD, as in David, Lloyd, LLOYD.com.
And I'm Sandy Webster, Dr. Sandy. You can reach me pretty much anywhere as Sandy, SANDI, Webster, LinkedIn, Facebook, any of the social media, or if you want to Google me, you can find me. I'm pretty Googleable.
You are, and I'm going to say mine one more time because I'm seeing the caption and it was scrambled up. So again, it's bold at audreydlloyd.com. This has been a great conversation, Sandy. It was fun, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. If you're listening to the replay, pass it on, share it with someone, and we hope to be in conversation with you again. Have a great day.
We're doing monthlies, so you'll see us next month. We'll pop up here next month, and we'll try to tell you when we're going to be on so you can join us again.
Absolutely.
Happy Thursday.
Bye, everyone.